And we are live.
No questions until Q&A.
Okay, good morning. Special thank you to all the Masadrim, to Zvi Goldring for being for help. And Moti Zeitlin and Nachman Fried, my Rebbe Reb Chaim Kramer, Breslov Research Institute, and all participants. We're in Torah Zion. We finished paragraph Gimel last week. I hope to make some progress on Dalet as well today. We definitely covered a lot inside paragraph Gimel that deserves unpacking. So just by way of review, the Torah starts off telling us that only a real Rahman can be a real leader. When I use the word real, I'm translating the word emes. An emestika leader is someone who is a true Rahman. And Rahman means he can't be someone who has Rahmanas on Rishayim who steal and murder gangsters. It has to be someone who does not have Rahmanas on an infant by giving them food when they're crying, when this is an infant and can only survive on actual liquid. That's not called Rahmanas, and then it's out of its midah. It's completely out of measure. So we see that, like every midah, every single character trait requires a midah, a measure. That's why the word midah as character also shares in Lashon HaKodesh the same meaning as measure. Lashon HaKodesh is a perfect language. We've said it 1,000 times, we'll say it another 1,000 times, which means we have to take it super seriously. Because the true measure of a human being is not his bank account, it's not the car he drives, it's not the zip code he lives in, it's not his shape and how healthy and wealthy his family, nothing. The only real true measure of a human being is his midot, his character traits. That's what's going to count in Olam HaEmes. No one arrives in Shemayim with all their toys. That's not the definition of a human being. In the world today, it doesn't take much to scratch the surface and recognize that actors and actresses and a major athletes are considered the rock stars and the icons of success in this world, and yet you don't even have to scratch the surface. Just read the surface, and you discover what sordid lives they have and the extraordinary unhappiness that they experience. So the first thing is, a leader has to be someone who has Rahmanas in such a way that anyone who comes into exposure with this Manhig Amiti, and that we're referring here right now to Moshe Rabbeinu or anyone of his caliber, that is going to make a deep roshim on us, because the real Rahmanas, which Rav Nachman gets into, is to have Rahmanas for a person who is dull. Dull in English means dull, but dull in Hebrew means poor. And we're not referring to financial poverty. That's not the worst poverty. The worst poverty is poverty of the mind, and that's what we ended off in Gimel, describing that ein adam over avera, a person can't do an avera, and ela im ken nichnas boi ruach shtus, unless a moment of insanity enters his mind. Ruach means wind. It can also mean thought. We looked at that a little bit last week. And if you look wherever you see the word ruach ra, sometimes it means a shade, some sort of a demon that went into a person. Like there's a Gemara in Eruvin, the Mishnah there, Mem Aleph I think it is, tells us that if a person had a ruach ra, and that's what forced him to leave the Tchum on Shabbos, and now he's outside the Tchum, and after 2,000 Amos he suddenly realizes, where am I? And his crazy mind suddenly gets sane again. He can only walk within 4 Amos. So the language of the Mishnah there is a ruach ra. So Rashi brings it means a shade. Tosfos tells us it's the Yetzer Hara, and even if it is the Yetzer Hara, that somehow his mind just went berserk, and he wasn't paying attention to the fact that he's walking way outside of the Tchum. The Yetzer Hara says, the Tosfos over there, even if he couldn't control himself, he should have known in advance how the Yetzer Hara is going to try and attack him, and he should have guarded himself. We're going to see that in a few moments. But the main point here is that the greatest leader is someone who can reach down to someone who's got avonos. Averas. Averas on the level of having done them deliberately, on purpose. Not lahachis, not to get Hashem angry, but deliberately. He's fully knowing that this is Shabbos, or that this is an Avera, Moitzi Zel Vatala, or this is an Avera to give a second look. This is an Avera to worry and to live in a world of Daiga. All those do not belong in the mind of a Jew. And when I do enter that world, so I'm always one thought away from correcting myself. But nevertheless, I need someone who can reach me and tell me how to get out of the mindset that I've allowed myself to get into. So Ruach Shtus, from the word Shaita or Saita, that's actually the pasuk that's brought to prove that the Saita with a Samach is the same lashon as Saita with a sin. And with a sin, it means that a person's shtus, ruach shtus, gone crazy. So Rav Nachman, the very first Torah, in Likutim Moran, where he talks about the koach of Torah, and that actually the Torah is what is able to make a person sane and fight his Yetzer Hara. So he brings, and this is in Torah Aleph. It's not far from the end. The Torah is really all the names of Hashem. Hainu. That means to say, the Torah is capable of subjugating the Yetzer Hara, which we know. I'm not going to translate it as evil inclination. That's actually based on the Christian translation, so I'm not going to go there. I'm going to call it what Rav Nachman calls it, and what the Chazal tell us. A Yetzer is a designer, and Ra means bad. It's a bad designer, and it's referring specifically to your thoughts. That's what Rav Nachman says. We've mentioned a few times in term Memtes. He mentions it, I think, at least 3 times. Ha-machshavas toivas hem ha-yetzer toiv, v'ha-machshavas ra'is hem ha-yetzer hara. So now we've stripped all the translations away from what the Yetzer Hara really is. It's just my bad thinking. Whatever thoughts the Torah tells me don't go there, that's the Yetzer Hara.
So it's not an actual angel?
It's not an angel. I create an angel. I create an angel with my thought, and that angel has the power, if it's toiv, to help encourage me in a better direction. So I get a momentum from the angel, and there's a very powerful good thought. That angel can actually knock out a lot of angels that I created on the negative side. But if it's a negative angel, that same angel will push me in a bad direction. We've mentioned that from the Gemara in Marcus, Daf Yud Amud Beis, the famous Gemara, B'derech she'adam roitze leilech moilichin oisai. The direction a person really wants to go in, they accompany him, and the they are the malachim I create. So, but the initial machshava is my thought. The real Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara is what I'm thinking. Once you bring it down to that, it makes it so much easier to pay attention to how I am allowing myself to be drawn into machlokas, or kina, or sinna, or tachrut, competition, or nakama, or natira. Nakama is revenge, natira is bearing a grudge, remembering other people's mistakes. Sinna, hate, all those are thoughts. So comes on Rav Nachman and tells us, and Yetzer Hara roitze lasa says Adam meshuga mamash. The Yetzer Hara wants to make a person completely mad. Has v'shalom. Ki ba'al aveira hu meshuga. Someone who is a ba'al aveira, who owns an aveira, he is completely insane. K'moshe Amra B'teinu Zal and Soita Daf Gimel Amud Aleph. Ein Adam Oiva Aveira Ela Im Kein Nichnas Boi Ruach Shtus. A person is incapable of doing an Aveira to go against God unless he has a thought of madness that enters him. So we have talked about this in the previous Torah almost a year ago, that this really is the ultimate definition of mental illness and mental health. When I'm thinking hatred, I'm mentally ill in that moment. The moment I catch myself out that, Hashem, you don't want me to hate this person did what they did or said what they did to help, to invite me to react. Am I going to say, this person came into my life, parachuted into my life, and I've got to fight their bad stuff? Or, God, did you really send this wife, this husband, this child, this brother-in-law, this mother-in-law? In which case, I should be dealing with you directly. Help me control my mind and be done chavschus. Help me control my mind and ask myself, what's good about this person in my life? What's good about this partner in my business? What's good about this difficult child? and then start asking more and more questions in that direction, because that's how to be done in the Chavskos. That's how to find Nekudas Tovos. There's nothing big on that. Nekudas Tovos means look for the smallest virtue, the smallest good thing about something that you're going through, and then build on that. So mental health is switching to good thoughts. Mental illness is when I live inside negative thoughts. If I nurture the negativity enough times and with severity, and I go into the world of blaming and complaining and denying it's my fault, giving excuses why it's everyone else's fault, what will end up happening is I could literally make myself meshuggah, because I can't see my beautiful garden. I'm stuck with the weeds. It's the weeds, it's the weeds, it's the weeds. And I keep watering the weeds. That's my Rebbe's mashal of talking and talking and talking about my problems. I water the weeds to the point where all I can see in my life is weeds. I wake up thinking weeds. I go to sleep, if I can fall asleep, thinking weeds. So this is what Rav Nachman ends up on in paragraph Gimel, that the only reason I can come to do Averos in the first place is because of the Yetzer Hara that I allow in Ruach Shtus. That's what the Yetzer Hara is. Rav Nachman used the language of a Baal Aveira. A Baal Aveira is only someone who allows these thoughts to sit in him. So a Baal is an owner. Aveira means a violation. Why is it, this is a Medrash Tanchuma, by the way, what I'm sharing with you is not Chassidus, it's a Medrash. Why is it that a bar mitzvah, someone who is chayav in mitzvahs, starting with 13 in one day for a boy, 12 in one day for a girl, they're more mature than us, at least at that point in life they are. So what is it about the language that the Torah calls someone who's chayav in mitzvahs a child of a mitzvah, a son of a mitzvah, but when it comes to an Aveira, it's only a Baal. A Baal is an owner or a husband. What's the difference? So there's an intrinsic relationship between a father and a son, a parent and a child, that will never be lost. Once that, even if the father dies or the child is put up for adoption, his true father, true mother are the same people that he was born to. That's a relationship that no matter what goes in between them, how bad it gets, that father, that child is still that father's child and that child's father. It's inseparable. However, and that's eternal. However, an Aveira, just like an owner can disown something, he can be mafkir it. And now there's no relationship, it's mafkir it. Or it's a husband, he can divorce. And now there's no relationship between the two. Okay, they might have to share the same children and chasnas and whatever else they've got to figure out. But in that way, they're still married. It's a big problem. But otherwise, a divorce means separated. Now, she can remarry and he can remarry. They have no intrinsic relationship to each other. So that's the real big difference. So a Baal Aveira is a very important language to recognize, and it really is pointing fingers to how Hashem wants me to know I can disown that thought. I'm not married to my thoughts. I'm not married or if you want to say I'm married, but I can unmarry my thoughts. I do not have an eternal relationship with my Aveiras. And that's why Rav Nachman pointed out, we learned it last week, we didn't go into much detail, why anyone, and he's referring really to the tzaddikim, starting with Moshe Rabbeinu, anyone who understands where the neshama of a Jew originates from, the real source of that neshama, will realize that an avoin, an aveira done on purpose, not just a chet, but an avoin, has no shaykhs, no relevance, no relationship with the Jew's actual neshama. The neshama of a Jew starts from, as we mentioned briefly, it really pays to understand it a little bit more, but the Hashem, so to speak, first thought he ever had was, I'm going to create the Jewish people. In fact, the word Bereshis, bara Elokim, so Chazal tell us Bishvil Rashis. And who's called Rashis? The Jewish people are called Rashis. So Bishvil Rashis, before the Jewish people, bara Elokim, the power of all powers, created Es Hashemayim Ves Haaretz. This is a very powerful claim to make, and it's axiomatic. There's no negotiation. The entire universe was created for the people that would eventually be called Yisrael. And so Rav Nachman says that Yisrael is the Oisias Li Rosh. This is what was going on inside my mind at the very beginning of creation. Before Hashem said the word Bereshis, he actually, kaviyachol, so to speak, the first thought that entered his mind, which created Am Yisrael in the Shama, is that you are a chelik Elokah mima'al, literally, and whatever that literal sense means, it does mean that an Aveira, an Avain, is not shaykh. So no matter what my track record of Aveiras, that is only Klafei Chutz. But the actual Pnim, the real me, which is my Neshama, has no shaykhs to all of that. And that makes it a little bit more encouraging that I can let go of my past. My past is gone. Madahava hava. Chazal say it many times, whatever happened. Don't go there. You want to ask Madua, which is a way of saying why, from Da, give me the knowledge, from where this came from. Go there, but only if you discover that it makes you stronger in the now. But if yesterday, living in yesterday, why would I live in yesterday? Yesterday's gone. And by me living in yesterday, I'm actually killing the day I'm living in, which is today. Why would I kill today by living in yesterday? Oh, you need to dig something to understand where you came from? Okay, go there. But the moment you start hating your parents, or resenting your parents, or resenting your background, Rebbeinu Shalom is going to tell me, Rietti, I don't understand you. I gave you these parents, I gave you that background, I brought you into that school, I gave you that education. So look for what's good about it that will propel you forward, but don't get stuck there and say, well, I'm damaged, I'm scarred. So I'm going to tell you quickly how you get scarred. This is how you get scarred, in one way. Person has a cut, and instead of letting the body do its job, which is self-heal, it will send blood to the surface of the skin, it will congeal, and it will actually become a crust. And if I'm not tempted to rip off the crust before it falls off by itself, then what that crust is doing is protecting my body, doing its job to heal itself and prepare a whole new surface of skin with all the contours that's on your skin underneath that crust. If I keep going back, I'm using my language deliberately, and peeling off the crust, see what's going on over there. What happened? Oh, it's a bad cut. Oh, it's actually quite deep. And then after a few days, the crust tries to grow back, and I pull it off again. A week later, I'll make another session to check on this scar. Guess what's going to happen if I keep doing this? A person, the hospital, will end up with a nasty scar. Now I'm scarred. Yeah, but who scarred me? I'm doing this to myself. And look at every single kima, every single person in Torah history, in Tanakh, and they are the extraordinary examples of, yes, I did a mistake and I started again. And every single one is the same. Avram Avinu, Sarah Imenu, they had extremely difficult backgrounds. Avram Avinu is betrayed by his own father. If you know anybody in the world of psychology who would give a rating of 0 to 10, 0 is the least pain, 10 is the most. What is the pain of a parent's betrayal to a child? It's huge. Avram Avinu was betrayed by his father to Nimrod, and the consequences was death, and he still betrayed him. Avram Avinu did not become a victim and say, I'm scarred, I'm done with this, Rebbeinu Shalom, I tried so hard for you, but this is how you let things happen to me. And he ends up in a dungeon for 10 years after the first time he smashed all the idols. He was 60 years old. Any personality you look at, they did not look in their past and dig it up and keep looking at the scar and move forward. You've got a whole life ahead of you. Don't just let go, move on. That is mental health. It's not denial, it's health. It's actually healthy. Because now if you ever look at the past later on, you can say, oh yeah, I had a scar there. Yeah, it was a nasty accident. It was actually my fault because I was playing soccer and I shouldn't have done what I did that caused me to fall, and then I got a nasty scar from that. Big deal. How many of us have been through difficult things in our lives, and when we look back at it years later, it's meaningless. Oh yeah. But at the time, I was so immersed in the pain and the blaming. So Rav Nachman wants me to know that I'm being meshuggah when I let an aveira take over me, and it's really my thoughts. It's not more than that. He then said, which we saw last week, that all the Yisurin that a person can suffer in this world is less than the Yisurin, the pain of suffering Averas. The pain of Averas is much worse. It's, especially for a Jew, it's so hard to carry that a person can't carry it. A Jew cannot carry it. The language of Rav Nachman, if you don't mind, we're going to go through quickly Gimel again. What is the main Rachmanis, compassion, that a leader has to have for the Jewish people? That's when the Jewish people fall. Kadosh really means unique. We're a unique nation. I don't want to use the word holy because it's not really accurate. Kadosh means mufdal mufrash. We're completely unique. We're set apart. When we fall into Avonis, Rahman Islam, may the merciful one save us. Interesting language, because Hashem is the one who has Rahmanas, all from love. Rahman is always the taich in Targum for the word Ava. Kizeu ha-Rahmanas ha-gadol mikol minei Rahmanas. The highest level of Rachamim is when Rachamim is applied to my Averas. The reverse of that is when I believe my Averas are so bad, there's no point in me trying to move forward. I'll never improve. And so I keep doing the same Avera. Like Chazal tell us, a person shouldn't say that he's a Rasha. A person should not say on himself, Shelo yeh Rasha be'einecha. It's in Perek Beis, Mishnah Yud Gimel, I think, in Pirkei Avos. Lo yeh be'einecha Rasha. Don't be a Rasha in your eyes. And the Bartanur quotes the Rambam in his Perush on Mishnayos, because if I talk to myself that I'm a Rasha, then Has v'Shalom, I hold myself to the expectation of what Rishayim do. And then, Has v'Shalom, Yatsa b'tarbus ran legamri. Then I'll go out and I give up and I just do Averas anyway. So that's the reverse of accepting Hashem's Rahmanas on me. Ki kol ha-yisurim akashim shebe'olam. You can take all the suffering in the world and the worst. Einam nechshavim klal, and you put on one side of the scale, it will never tip anywhere close to Keneged HaMasri, in contrast to the weight, hakaved, the very heavy weight shel ha'avonos of Averas. So, when Jewish people fall into Averas, zehu masui kaved moed. This is an extraordinarily heavy weight to carry. No human being, no Jew can carry the weight of Averas. In the words of Rav Nachman in 236 and Si Chasuran, he says, Kol ha-yisurim hakashim v'chamurim shezaval kama shanim. No matter how much suffering a person would have to endure through a lifetime for many years, kulam hem toivim yoseh, they are actually better mikvir achas begehenim, than one flame in Gehenim. Kvir achas begehenim garua mizeh is much worse. What to back that up from the Ramban in Shara Gemul, Ramban with a nun, Sha achas begehenim hikasha yosem yisurei Iyov kol yamav. The entire 12 months of Iyov's suffering, which was he lost all his children, he lost all his property, and then if that wasn't enough, he started suffering of physical ailments which were impossible for us to describe, and that lasted 12 months. All those 12 months accumulated suffering. If you put that on one side of the scale, and one burn in Gehenna on the other side of the scale, 1 hour of Gehenna in one side of the scale, the hour of Gehenna would outweigh all the suffering of Iyov over a 12-month period. So this is not to make us feel guilty. It's actually just a reality check that once I know that the worst imaginable situation I get myself into is my Lashon Hara and my Sinas Chinam and getting into Machlokes, whatever it is that I'm doing, or actual physical Averas, Has v'Shalom, the Rahmanas I need for that is so huge, much, much, much more than Rahmanas on someone who's going through physical suffering. We take them to ICU, we take them immediately to Hatzalah, we transfer them to another hospital, find out what other treatments we can possibly give. All that suffering is nothing compared to my Lashon Hara. Nothing. And therefore, what I really should be focused on is not how much Averas I've done, but on the fact that Hashem, you love me so much. You've sent tzaddikim, starting with Moshe Rabbeinu, and then later on you have David HaMelech. You've got all the great tzaddikim of the Baal Shem Tov and the Arizal and Rav Nachman to help a Jew, no matter how far they've fallen, to know Yediyah Gemura, 100% knowledge that there's no such thing as Yush, because you have Rachmanus even on me, and the greatest Rachmanus is for my Averas. So he quotes here, "B'bchinas kamasa kaved yichdu mimeni." The truth is, the whole pasuk is a bit more revealing. The pasuk is in Lamed Ches, pasuk Hey in Tehillim, and that's where the pasuk actually starts off. Ki avoinoisai avru roishi kamasa kaved yichbedu mimeni. My avoinos, that's the averos I've done on purpose, are so heavy on me that they cover over my head. It's overwhelming. I can't handle it anymore. Yichabdu meni, and they're heavier than I can carry. So that particular pasuk is David HaMelech crying over the fact that the entire Sanhedrin was Pirish Mimenu. The Sanhedrin said, after what happened with Bathsheba, we are so... they left him. He contracted a serious case of tsaras, and it lasted for 6 months. Ruach Kodesh left him for 6 months. This was the Avoni was too much for me to carry. And David HaMelech is saying, I'm drowning in it. It's going over my head. I can't handle it. So this is the pasuk that Rav Nachman is quoting. Ki mishu yodea kedusha Yisrael me'ayin hem lukuchim. Anyone who knows where the real kedusha, the uniqueness, I'm translating it that way deliberately. I really believe that's a better translation than the word holy. Holy can apply to lots of things, and even someone who lives in the Vatican is called holy. It has nothing to do with us. The word Kaddish means mufresh muvdal. And mufresh muvdal means completely separate, unique, one of a kind. Shabbos Kodesh is a unique day. It's not the 7th day and a different day than the other 6. It's completely different. Amma Kaddish is a completely different nation. Lashon HaKodesh is a totally unique language, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created language, created the universe with this language, and continues to. So Kaddish means unique, one of a kind. There's no comparison. It's a league of its own. So Amma Kaddish, if we were to know from where the kedusha of the Jewish people comes from, this yukni v'yodea ruchnias v'dakos shel Yisrael, hu yodea Yisrael hem rachaykim negamri ma'avayin. This is what we learned last week. So I just wanted to revisit it, because the real Yisurin is Yisurin for Averas. So Rav Nachman brings now from the Gemara in Shabbos, and I'll be honest with you, I was always bothered. by this quote. I'll tell you why. Because the Gemara in Shabbos Nun Hey Amud Aleph says that there's no such thing as Yisurin without an Avera to start with. The Avera is what causes Yisurin. And there's no such thing as Misa, death, without a person having done something to deserve it. So it's interesting that the Gemara there goes back and forth, is arguing with this claim of Rav Ami. Rav Ami is claiming that it's impossible for Yisurin to come without there having been some starting point in an Aveira I did. And with Sheni, it's impossible for a person to die if there wasn't some chet that he caused. And the Gemara goes back and forth, and finally it comes to the conclusion, and it says Tufta, that means it's irrefutable, that there is such a thing as death with no Averas, and there is such a thing as Yisurim without any Averas as well. So I was bothered, because the Gemara here, the Mishnah, Rav Nachman here is quoting in the Havamina and writing it out as though that's the Maskana, but it wasn't, until I saw this morning. The Hebrew art scroll quotes the Meiri, and the Meiri says that a tshufta in Agarata is not conclusive. And not only that, he says that Rav Ami is saying Lefi ha'emes. He gives an explanation there. So Rav Nachman actually was going with the Meiri, and that this is really actually conclusive. That every single type of Yisurin that a person ever experiences, including death, has to be preceded with some sort of Aveira. So even though we have a pasuk that there is such a thing as a tzaddik, we've quoted it before in Koheles Perek Zayin pasuk Hey, pasuk Kaf. It says, "Ki Adam ein tzaddik ba'aretz asher yaseh toiv v'lo yecheta." It's impossible to find a human being that's a human-ish that is also a tzaddik. It's still called a tzaddik, and he only does good, never does a mistake. There's no such thing. Now, happens to be, we know from the same Gemara in Shabbos, there were 4 examples, 4 exceptions. and you look at Maser Shas on the side, he actually brings you another one or two, and they were tzaddikim who only died because of the Nachash. That was Amram, the father of Moshe Rabbeinu, Binyamin, the son of Yaakov Avinu, and Kalev, the son of David HaMelech, and Yishai, the father of David HaMelech. Those were the four. The Maser Shas brings also Yeshua, which is it's very interesting because when you look at those 4 or 5, you realize, and he also brings Levi. There were things they did in their lifetime that the Torah clearly seems to indicate that was a mistake. Levi killed off Bnei Shechem without getting reshus from their father, and Aru Apam, his anger was cursed by Hashem, by Yaakov, not himself, not Levi himself, but he still called it Tzaddik Gamor. So it seems quite clear that Yishai, even though he completely rejected his son David, he rejected him to the point where he was pretty sure, like Karv Levadai, this boy was a mamzer. That's how certain he was about who this boy was. And this went on for 28 years. 28 full years, he was under that impression. And Yishai is called a Tzaddik Gamor. He only died because of the het of the Nachash. But that was a mistake in the end, but his cheshbon was correct and that is what's counted. So it seems that it's possible for a person to make a mistake and is still called a Tzaddik Gamor. But nevertheless, the point we're bringing out over here is that Rav Nachman is telling us this is really good news. It's really good news. Yisurin is really for a person's benefit. And it's not meant to hurt me. It's not even meant as oynesh, as we mistranslate as punishment. It's really meant for me to grow from. All Yisurin. Rav Nachman says it a number of times. You'll especially find it in Torah Daled, right at the beginning, in the beginning of the first chelik of Likutim Ran. In the chelik Dav, there's no Ra. All Ra that we experience is only chesaron of das. I'm missing out in my mind. There's something I don't understand, and that's why I think it's Ra. If you don't mind, I'll tell you a quick joke. It's a joke I made quite famous many years ago, but I haven't said it for such a long time, you might not have heard it, I don't know. There was two British farmers in southern England. If you're used to my English accent, I'm going to switch now to a southern English accent. So there's two farmers in a pub drinking a pint of beer together, and one says to the other, I won £1 million. So the other one says, oh, that'd be good. So the first farmer says, no, that'd be bad, I spent it all. Oh, that'd be bad. No, that'd be good. Bought myself an aeroplane. Oh, that'd be good. No, that'd be bad. It blew up in midair. Oh, that'd be bad. No, that'd be good. I jumped out just in time. Oh, that'd be good. No, that'd be bad. I forgot my parachute. Oh, that'd be bad. No, that'd be good. There was a haystack below. Oh, that'd be good. No, that'd be bad. There was a pitchfork sticking out the haystack. Oh, that'd be bad. No, that'd be good. I missed the pitchfork. Oh, that'd be good. No, that'd be bad. I missed the haystack. Oh, that'd be bad. No, that'd be good. I fell into an open grave. Oh, that'd be good. No, that'd be bad. The funeral men were filling it in. Oh, that'd be bad. No, that'd be good. I told them I was still alive. Oh, that'd be good. No, that'd be bad. They wouldn't believe me. Life is one long story. That'd be good, that'd be bad. Marriage, oh, that'd be good, oh, that'd be bad. Children, oh, that'd be good, oh, that'd be bad. Health, good, bad. Finances, good, bad. It's all up, down, up, down, up, down. But Hashem only gives me the power of contrast, the Yisurin, in order that I can actually appreciate when I don't have the Yisurin. And will I be besimcha even when I've got Yisurin? That's a huge test of my Ava to Hashem. And that's what we are. That's what we are called for. We are held to that standard. Hashem wants me. It's not an easy thing to say, but it's a Mishnah in the last Mishnah in Brachos, and it's explaining what you and I say every day. We're all training in the same thing. B'chol me'odecha. I'm going to love you with all my ma'od. And the several meanings, and the last one given there is b'chol mita umita. It's a play on the word ma'od from the 2-letter root mad. Mad is a measure. Every measure Hashem measures out to you. Bein midah tova, where there's obviously blessing, it's good. Marriage, children, health, finances, community, friends, extended family, etc., etc. Bein midah puranut, or whether Hashem is extracting payment, that's what puranut means. It means extracting payment for mistakes I've made. So instead of me, has v'shalom, getting Gehenna, I'm actually getting a discounted rate down here when Hashem extracts payment from me. How should I respond to both the good, the blessing, and the midah tov and the midah ra, midas puranos? Have a moideloi b'ma'od ma'od. Last Mishnah in Brachas. Be exceedingly, exceedingly grateful. I think it's the only Mishnah I know where it says ma'od ma'od twice, and it's going on. We're here to inject ourselves. Bad word, sorry. We're here to imbue in ourselves vitamin G, gratitude. Have a moideloi b'ma'od ma'od. A Yehudi, in essence, is a moida. That's what moida ani really means. Before we even finish the sentence, we start off our day. I am a thankuer. Moida ani. I'm here to be grateful. And what's that mean? When things are good, that's obvious. It's too obvious. No, when things are not good, we start again. We start again. That's our brand. That's our DNA. That's how Hashem created us. Through Avram Avinu and Sarah Imenu, who went through 10 Nisyonos. He went through 10. She went through most of them. Except for Bris Milah, obviously, but she went through most of the Nisyonos. So the Nisayon is not to hurt me. The Nisayon is to make me great. Yosef HaTzadik became great because of Selusha. Selusha, the wife of Potiphar, for a whole year is trying to entice him. He wouldn't even look at her. That's incredible. That's how he became great. Now Hashem said, okay, well, we're not finished with the Nisyonos. Let me throw you in prison for 12 years for doing the right thing, and now see how you handle it. And Yosef HaTzadik held strong. And if he ever had a thought of resentment, God, why me? What did he do? He pressed the delete button. Where's the delete button in your brain? Your next thought. You're always living in your next thought. Bechira is your next thought. You get a pop-up. Why is this happening to me? And next press delete, say, Rabbi Shalom, I don't know why, but you're in charge. So I'm mavatal my rotzen to your rotzen, and if this is your rotzen, I'm going to hold my silence. And he became Yosef HaTzadik. Every single person who went through whatever they went through, that Nisayon actually made them great, and the people who were against them made them great. Rabbi Victor Miller talks about Avram Avinu, who was made great by Nimrod. Nimrod tested him, threw him into a fire, threw him into a dungeon for 10 years and then into a fire. He made him great. That wasn't his intention. This is our greatness. Our greatness is the anti-Semites in every single generation. And we don't let go of our emunah in Hashem. And if we do Has v'Shalom, then we're part of Marcus Choshech. We're 4/5 of the Jewish people. The worst Holocaust in our history, which is hardly ever talked about. 4/5 of the Jewish people were wiped out overnight. That means everyone who left Mitzrayim, only a few weeks later, we all lost family. And yet, it's not talked about because we are completely fixated on survival, moving forward. We're strong. We start again. And Hashem will bring back everyone in Gilgal for another chance. So there's no ra. There is no ra. It's only a human misperception, an innocent misunderstanding of reality. It looks bad. It really isn't. So, any questions on these points?
I think we get stuck by Ishtadlus. Like, we
Excellent.
always think that we need to change something. So you're making it sound like Hashem. I mean, not you. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That okay. So if your kid is like that, there's nothing we need to do to change. Except, but the problem is when we feel like we have to change, we have to do something different.
You're 100% right. The Hishtadlus has two possibilities. Either, I'll give you an example. This is just throwing out this as a possible example. You're working in a company, and you really do not enjoy your job, because as hard as you work and as satisfactory, as satisfying as it is that you're doing your best, the co-workers drive you nuts. They're very, very unkind, and worse, the supervisor of your department is very unappreciative of you. And even though you've tried moving to other departments, etc., it's really, really annoying. And you come home every day, and Dad asks, "How was your day?" And you say, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I really hate this job. It's really driving me nuts. It really, really drives me nuts. I don't know what to do." So he said, "Have you ever spoken to the boss?" He says, "No, Dad. No one can go into the boss just like that. It doesn't work like that. It's a huge company. Do you know, there's hundreds of departments, there's thousands and thousands of employees. You can't just go to the bus. So we at least try. I complain to my supervisor, but I've got to be very careful because he's part of the problem. So I have moved from a different department, and he's going on and on and on and on. Finally, one day, this kid decides, you know what? I'm just so unhappy here. I'm going to do my best, and so he puts in an application to meet the boss, and he's given an appointment, and it's his turn to come in. He knocks on the door, and the guy on the other side says, "Come in." So he comes in and gets a shock of his life. His father's sitting at the desk of the boss. "Dad, what are you doing here? You can embarrass me like hell. Don't you understand? That's the boss's seat." He says, "No, son, you came to the right place." "Dad, please, you got. I don't know what you're doing here." He said, "Son, I own the company." "What?" "This is my company. I've been trying to encourage you for the longest time to go directly to the boss." "Dad, you let me go through all this HELL for what?" He says, No son. The whole purpose of this company is to get people to have a relationship with the boss. That was the real reason. So all the squeezing and all the annoyance and irritation that you get from co-workers and sometimes the clients and the customers and the supervisors, it's just put them all aside and go straight to the office of the boss. Knock on the door, 1-800 Almighty, say, "Rebbeinu Shalom, this is the Ikke Shtadlus. Please, Abba Ato Ohevati, you're my father, you surely love me. You said I'm your son, so help me." So the father's going to tell him, "Do you want to be promoted?" "Yeah, Dad, of course I do." "Okay, so let's talk about what's your strengths and build on those." So ultimately, all these shtadlus is meaningless except for one, and that's tefillah. That's what Rav Nachman talks about, but that's the ultimate shtadlus. Hashem is making it that this last generation, I'm not sure if it's the last generation, we're getting really, really close, because all the simanim in the last 3 mishnayos of Saita, Perik Test there, are mukuyam. And especially the last one, Oive Ish Anshe Beisai. The enemies of a person will be members of his own home. Immediate and extended. And the Mishnah keeps interrupting as it goes through all the different stages. Al mi lanu l'hishayin. Who can we rely on? It's like crazy. Everything's caving in on me. Ein lanu al mi l'hishayin el avinu shabashamayim. And dafka l'loshin avinu shabashamayim. You're my father. So of course I can talk to you. You love me. I'm your son. I'm your child. So Hashem is bringing about, it's not plan B, ein lanu al mi l'hishayin el avinu shabashamayim. Meaning, plan A would have been if this kid would just like straighten up, if I could just get divorced, or if I could just find a second a good marriage, or turn myself around. But I just don't see how I am because I just keep falling. So Hashem is squeezing us more than any other generation in world history and giving us almost every single route is closed off until I finally come to the conclusion that all this shtadlus actually is not even adding up. In many cases, you start looking at the hishtadlus, you've done a track record of all the hishtadlus, and you notice it backfired. No matter who I spoke to, wrong treatment, wrong therapy, whatever it was, it backfired. And why don't I just go straight to the boss? So Hashem's saying, I'm not offering you this as plan B. Is not plan B, it's plan A, always was plan A. But I'm forcing you to reach a point where Emunah is the only solution. And that's really what we're coming to. Does that help answer that a bit? Somewhat. Okay. Yes, Doctor.
We answered what I was going to ask, but why is it so attractive to do the wrong thing? And is there some technique when you're in the process of those thoughts to go to better thoughts? Is there a technique that you can use? Like, is there a mantra? Is there a whatever?
Right.
It's a dumb question, but I wonder what you say.
Right. So when a person does take a pill, there's a short filler, one line, where you say Yirat that the refuah should come through this, meaning you're asking Hashem. So you're not relying on the hishtadlus. You're actually asking Hashem, let this be my effort to cure myself. But you're not actually believing in it, and that's a pasuk in the Torah. If Has v'Shalom I fall into the trap of, and this is what Sefer Haredim and others actually tell me, and this is the rise of arrogance, to believe that it's my own koichi ve'otzim yadi, it's my actual efforts that are equaling this result. Whether it's a business deal, wow, it really paid off going to business school to get that deal, just that deal alone. And Hashem's saying, excuse me, who gave you the mind in the first place? Who gave you the contacts? Who got you into the business school? You think it's your acumen and your business acumen, and your business intelligence, and your excellent negotiating skills? No, it all came from me. So that is the constant struggle that we all have. Is the result of what I'm experiencing from my efforts, or is it really a pure gift from you? So the one human being in world history who probably put in the most effort to work on himself was Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, no one worked harder than him, at least at that point in time. It's brought out in Yachin Boyaz in the last parak of Kiddushin. The long story there. Don't tell Art Scroll. I don't think it would get published. It's not. You won't find it published anywhere. But if you look inside the Yachin Boyaz in Parak Dalet on the last Mishnah, Toiv minha roifim legehenim. The best roifim are going to Gehenim. So there's a whole story about Moshe Rabbeinu. I told you the story. So there's a story of Moshe Rabbeinu where there's a king in Arabia, Saudi Arabia today, but Arabia, who heard about this Ish HaElokim. Everyone heard the Aseret Dibros in 70 languages. The whole world knew about it. And he wanted to understand, how is it possible that the Torah would describe a human being as Ish, human, Elokim, of the powerful powers? How does a human being who's a physical body also be labeled by God as a man of God? So he really wanted to find out more. So being that he himself was a Hacham, and specifically in Chachmas HaPartzuf, which was reading the contours of the face, and being able to read that everything on your face is actually a perfect reflection of your character. That's in real time, but also even in a still photo. It will be a perfect photo. So, and his Hachamim, all his ministers were also Hachamim in Chachmas HaPartzuf. It's kedai to look at that story there. What happened? He sends his royal painter to the Midbar to make a perfect replica of this face of Moshe Rabbeinu, so that the king could then study it and understand, how does a human being become Ish Elokim? How is a human being spoken to face by the Almighty and take out a slave nation from the most powerful nation in world history? How do you do that? And then receives God's document, scroll of his instructions to mankind through the Jewish people. He had to see this. When the painting was brought to him, it was a perfect painting, perfect replica. The king was outraged. He looked very closely to it and said, "This person is a murderer, a thief, a liar, a cheat. He's a ramai, he's deceitful." So then he realized that the royal painter never accomplished the actual mission, and he just made a painting of anyone. So he gave the verdict, off with this man's head. So the royal executioner, reading the newspaper breakfast morning, says to his wife, "You know what, I have to go to work now, so I have to head off to work." So comes along Moshe Rabbeinu, comes along the painter and says, "Please, my master the king, I swear in your name that this is a perfect replica, and I was there." So the king is confused because he checks with all his Hachmei Partzufim, and they all agree that the painting is someone has got terrible traits. So the king said, "You know what? I've got to find out for myself." So he takes a whole entourage, and he arrives in the Midbar. He waits his turn online, and when he comes close to Moshe Rabbeinu, he's unscrolling this perfect picture, and he sees the lashon there is loy kachut hasara. It's not even missing a detail that would be the width of a hair. It was such a perfect replica. So now he's really confused, because all his Hachmei HaPartzuf agreed that the man's, and he himself looked, and the painter was right. So how could it be? How could it be? So he shares his dilemma when he gets to his turn. He shares his dilemma with Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu laughs it off, and he says, "No, your Hachamim are correct, and your reading of the painting was 100% correct." I had all those mitzvahs roas in my character, and the reason Hashem loves me so much is because I broke all those mitzvahs roas. So,
Why is he still wearing them?
what? Sorry.
Why is he still wearing them?
Excellent question. It would appear, and I heard this. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this. So, I heard this from Blazer Sternhill. So Reb Nissim David Kivak is, amongst others, is Baki in Hachmas HaParatzuf. But he confided in Reb Blazer Sternhill that he doesn't rely on it at all, because a Jew, when they make one hero of teshuvah, it changes everything. So a person can come to a lot of mistakes when they get involved in these type of hachmas, because it's not reliable, especially for Jews. It's not reliable. I once heard from a very, very prominent astrologer whose daughter became a Balas Tshuva. So he said that when he reads people's exact moment of birth and where they were born, and then he reads into the future based on the formation of the orbits of the stars in that moment, he says it works for non-Jews and it does not work for Jews. And so that was when he was told, Ein Mazel Yisrael. The Jewish people are beyond Mazel. Because our mitzvahs and our teshuvah can change our destiny. And so that's my best answer to that. It's an unreliable, it's a chokmah, but it's not reliable. It's a picture in a moment. It doesn't tell you what the person has changed since then. Sorry?
David HaMelech said,
Yes. Yes.
And the Rebbe says that
Yeah.
it weighs more than
Than
the
pain.
person actually. Obviously, he cannot carry more weight than he actually weighs.
Right.
So we see actually from David HaMelech is that he actually did engage with such thoughts of how big is my sin?
Yes.
How much does it weigh?
Yes.
And on the other side, we see there are some other advices in the Sefer of Likutim not to actually engage with such machshavas.
Yes.
So how do you?
So the simple answer that I would offer is the following: a person, according to the package that Rav Nachman is offering us, is that Ma'yit einen Adam Chai. What should a person who's alive complain about? Gev al Chatav, complain about your veras. So basically, what Rav Nachman says is that I should allow time every single day to talk about what I'm grateful for. That's how I'm supposed to start my hisbeitis, and also go into what I regret and the mistakes I've made, and ask Hashem, please help me to be metakin with this particular person or people or relationships. And in that time, a person can really allow, even though it may be weeks, months, and even years, where he's going back on the same mistakes he's made, to pour out his heart. But the rest of the 23 hours of the day should be b'simcha. So that is the prescription, meaning to say, it's not a denial of what I've gone through or I am going through, but make a exclusive time, 1-800 Almighty, with the boss to talk about it, and the rest of the time be Masich Das.
So you want to say that Perik Lamed Ches, Perik Nian Aleph of Tillim, where David HaMelech is actually crying about his sins, those were all part of his Tiknei Chatzos.
Yeah, excellent. Every single, I don't have Kapitel Lamed Ches in front of me, but it makes no difference which Kapitel you look at. So what's the context of the rest of it? Is it still only completely focused on Averas, or is there a point where in the text he starts screaming out, "Revenge Shalom, but you've saved me before, you can save me again"? And you'll find this throughout Tehillim, wherever he's talking about something that he's down on. For example, Dav v'nafshi mituga, my soul drips with agony from all that I've been through. And what's the rest of the same pasuk? V'terasecha or v'amarecha kaimeni. But I kept your words, meaning he stayed fixated on Tarek mitzvahs.
Right.
He didn't drown inside there. So even though he's drowning here, as overwhelming, but you'll find straight away Kima in real time. The next verse or the next one after that is going to be about but you're always pulling me out of my tsaras. Sa'akti elecha v'tirpa'eni. It's all. I cried, but you healed me, and it's always you healed me. It's not a human being. He didn't go to anyone around. He saw that I can't rely on any human being. They can betray me, but you, Hashem. So he forged a relationship with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, and Ad Hayom, it's amazing how much of our davening is Tehillim, how much of our davening incorporates psukim all over the place and full of Pesukei Zimra, and it's so powerful that even in other languages, the Christians, which number in the 1.2, 1.3 billion, every Sunday morning you got tens and tens and tens of millions of Christians who are singing Psalms of David, because the Pesukim, even in the mistranslations, still speak to their, so to speak, soul, because it covers the whole gamut, the full spectrum of all life experience and emotions. David HaMelech gave us the real cure, 1-800 Almighty. So yeah, 100%. It always comes back to Hashem, you're the only one who can save me.
We have a question from an online listener here.
Great.
How do you balance the human feeling of pain and sadness about a situation versus acceptance and trying to be besimcha and facing the challenge with strength? Where is there room for natural human emotion?
Natural human emotion means being real. And we've talked about what a tam is. A tam is someone who's absolutely real. His tamimus is that his kalibai kempiv. So if right now the reality is I'm suffering from what I'm going through and I'm talking about it and I'm down because I had other expectations of this marriage. I had other expectations of this particular kid. I thought this kid was going to be beyond extraordinary. He's just got such good midas. But in the end, his tamimus became his downfall because he got so taken advantage of by people. I can't believe what a mess he got himself in. And now I'm really down on myself. So Hashem wants me to live a life of emunah where at some point in my life I can say, as much as this is a struggle, and it's real, and it's painful, and it pulls me down, I know what you want, Hashem. You want me to live a life of simcha. You do not want me to live a life of has v'shalom depression or worry. You want me to get out of that. And that struggle is exactly what Hashem wants. More than anything else, the victory is none of my business. The victory is the struggle. That's my business. That is real victory. Because Chazal tell us,
What do you mean the victory is?
the world's definition of victory is when a person is successful, whatever that goal was or is. But in Hashem's dictionary, l'fum sara agra is according to the difficulty that Hashem compensates. I don't want to use the word reward because there's no such thing as reward in this world. Schar mitzvah b'chayalma leka. It doesn't exist. And agra doesn't mean schar. Agra is compensation. L'fum sara agra. Hashem compensates a person according to the difficulty. So the harder it is, the greater the compensation. And later on will be the reward much greater. That means to say the struggle itself is the victory. Living now in this world with this difficult spouse or child and saying, Rebbeinu Shalom, I still love you and I'm going to do my best to be a better person and more loving and understanding of the person I'm having difficulty with, because that's going to turn them around much sooner than me trying to turn them around. Yeah, right. Try turn around a teenager. Yeah, very funny. No wonder in Israel they call them tipesh Yisrael. When all teenagers are called. So I don't mean to put down teenagers, it's just that's the expression they use. Hashem wants me to blossom where I'm planted. And even though I'm planted in a garden with lots of weeds, Hashem says, you can blossom there because I wouldn't have put you there otherwise. The very fact that you're in this relationship is a vote of confidence, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you can get beyond it.
Struggling always to change our circumstances.
I should
Why
not.
can't a Jew just be in the surrender mode where a lot of books talk about acceptance and that's it? But we're not. Because we always try to change things.
So trying to change things is a very dangerous path for me to go in, because then I can easily fall into kochi v'otzim yadi asali esachayil. And when it doesn't work, then that means I've got to try something else. And I end up spending a lot of my mind, my energy, my time, resources, and money trying to change my circumstances by trying to change them. And surrender, if I'm understanding you correctly, means if I'm really, really, really want to be from Yid, and therefore I want to do your Ratzon, Hashem. So it's not my Ratzon I want to do, it's your Ratzon. And if it's your Ratzon I want to do, then when things don't go the way I want it to go, then that must be me, it's your Ratzon. So I can accept that. Now I'm okay, because it's your, I only want your Ratzon anyway, even over and above mine. So Rav Nachman brings in Sichas Aran, Reish Lamed Ches, I think it is, around about there, every night when we say V'takanenu Malkeinu be'etza toiva milfanecha, Takanenu means a lashon of tikkun, lashon of hachana. Prepare for us, also lashon of tikkun, fix. Prepare for us a good eitzah for the next 24 hours, that no matter who I interface with, that whatever I think, say, and do should be according to your Ratzon. So, and the first thing we say after Modani, according to Rav Nachman, it's the second Sikha and Sikha Sarah, I should wake up in the morning and say, Rebbeinu Shalom, everything I do, say, and think today, and anyone who's following me, anyone who depends on me, wife, children, grandchildren, whoever's dependent on you in any oifa, in any particular way, should only be doing your Ratzon today. So I'm somewhere completely on you, that whatever happens to me, I'm asking you up front should be according to your Ratzon. And now I've got things I want to do. I want to be on time for that appointment, because the potential of the commission on that appointment is really important. I leave extra early and I'm still stuck in traffic and I get there late. But I can get so bent out of shape and say I should have left much earlier and davened in the city instead of leaving at my regular time. I can beat myself up, or I can say, this must have been your intent. I once came very late it was during COVID actually, to meet a multi-billionaire. His company went bankrupt, but he pulled out $29 billion for him and his wife. I'm not going to say who they are, I don't mean it in a negative way, but I actually turned up late for the appointment. And I left extra early, and I still got late, about half an hour late. And this billionairess, I just apologized 1, 2, 3, and then got straight into the meeting. But because of it, there was much less time for me to spend answering their questions about how I could help them with an educational model that they wanted to implement worldwide. So, but the bottom line is, you, Hashem, wanted it that way, because otherwise it wouldn't have been that way. So I left early, I left in time, and I couldn't even find parking. It was impossible to park. I didn't want to park completely illegally, then I would have I think I did actually end up parking against a fire hydrant, but I couldn't double park. That would have been crazy. I would lose my car probably. But the point is, surrender means I'm doing what I think is right, but I gave you up front the following condition: I only want to do your Ratzon. So if your Ratzon is different to mine, then let's go with yours. It gets complicated because life still happens. And when life happens, it's almost always curveballs. And when the curveballs come, it's the moment that I'm Masiach Das. I'm not paying attention that this is really you speaking to me. And that's when I go Meshuggah. That's when I'm falling into mental illness. And then I get resentful or blame. And Hashem says, let go of this nonsense. Blaming is nonsense. Complaining is nonsense, unless you're complaining about your own Averas. Mayit einen Adam Chai. It's a pasuk in Eicha Perek Gimel, pasuk Lamed Tes. Why is a person who's alive complaining? He's got nothing to complain about. Oh, you want to complain? Be a gefer.
But they are.
Al Chatav, about his own mistakes.
So people are misinterpreting it. They claim that the Pshat and Posuk is Mayit einen Adam Chai. Gever Chatov. Chait is a lacking.
Yes.
So it's being misinterpreted in their mind. So they claim I'm complaining about my lackings.
Okay, but it should be I should be complaining about what causes my lacking, and that's me. It's not you. It's not my mother-in-law. It's not my father-in-law. It's not my brother, not my sister, not my chavrusa. It's only me. And as long as I blame, I don't have to look at myself. So that's part of what His Praise is for. Please, Breslov, open my mind to see myself. Help me not be afraid to look in the mirror. Help me to listen carefully to what those who love me the most are telling me about my faults, because they're the only ones who are going to help me.
The only
Rabbi Victor Miller says that marriage is like a mirror, looking inside a mirror with a magnifying glass in between. They're going to show up all the faults, all the armor and all the kinks gone. What? We
We didn't get to the fourth paragraph yet.
we didn't get to the fourth paragraph. I apologize. I'm gonna fly through the fourth paragraph next week.
That is session.
And any other comments, questions?
Three?
Sorry.
We finished?
There's more to unpack, but I'm gonna get into 4. That was the request from the majority, I think.
The question is, when are you allowed to ask Lama? And we see David HaMelech
Lama's
actually
very good.
asked.
Lama
Yeah.
is a healthy question to ask.
Is it?
Because it's asked lema for what, or to what is this leading? It's not a complaint. It's an exploration of how could this unfold in a way that will help me to understand why this is happening. For what did I go through this? For what possible benefit? For what possible blessing?
And when do you get that answer?
That when you ask a question, your brain is going to search for the answer. So if I say, why can't I lose weight? That is a very bad question for me to ask, because my brain will answer it. I'm a slob, I'm out of control, I can't say no to a second helping of food that I know is not healthy. I'm going to get a headache, I'm going to get a stomach ache, I'm going to end up oversleeping, and I go for the fastest sleeping pill in world history, Charland, anyway, and then before you know it, I'm blaming myself. But if I would ask a better question, how can I lose weight? Oh, that makes sense.
But that is not a Lama.
It is, because it's going into the future.
But you don't see in Lashon HaKodesh language when someone is asking how do I get there?
So
They ask it in
there's
the question- in the
two
question of
questions:
Lama.
Madua or Lama. Madua is going into the past, and Lama is moving forward. So whichever way you come out in English, to what might this be beneficial?
Lama Hashem Tiznach Nafshi doesn't mean that he's asking for the future.
It can be read that way, though.
It can be read.
Yeah, it can be read that way, because that's the difference.
So
Otherwise,
Lama Hashem Tam V'ruch, meaning I'm not complaining. I'm actually
he's asking
crying
for what?
to you.
Yeah,
Don't do this to me.
yeah. Or to what great benefit might this be leading me to?
Interesting. Anybody else?
How many times a person had a horrible medical setback, and dafka because of that medical setback, they took their health super seriously, and they lived a much better quality of life because of that setback. There's a gentleman by the name of Barry Kaufman, whose son, born to him, was severely autistic. He went to a total of 31 specialists. Every single one, including the 31st, told him this child will never be able to walk, talk, or count to 10. The last one told him, but that's only if you listen to the prophets of doom. He then told him, if you want, I will give you a regimen of what to do for this child. And he gave him the regimen, and the child was put in braces on his arms and legs every night, and they were squeezed to the point that it was extremely painful for him. It was to stimulate his muscles. His house was turned into a veritable gymnasium, the basement. And this boy, who was born autistic, was expected never to walk, talk, count to 10. Today, well, at the time of the writing of the book called Sunrise, S-O-N, Rise, Sunrise, Barry Kaufman writes about his son. His son wrote the Hakdama to the book. Wow. In the introduction, the boy was #1 real estate salesman in Winnipeg, Canada. He also was champion of ping pong. I think in America you call that ping pong. Yeah, in English it's called table tennis. Sorry, he was that takes a tremendous eye-hand coordination. An excellent athlete, a very intelligent boy, and it all came from the parents having Rahmanas on their child by forcing the kid beyond his seeming abilities. So he wrote a book called Sunrise, and there's a whole program called Sunrise, S-O-N-R-I-S-E, where they model off the program that the parents did for this boy, for people who've got children who are autistic, if they really, really want to see results that this child can live beyond a normal life. So what brought that about? What helped save so many people? And the answer is, the kid was born autistic. That's bad. Well, if I go into Madua, okay, shouldn't give him these shots and these vaccines and aluminium pans that we cook in. But if we go to Lama, to what benefit might this be? Let's keep exploring what possible benefit does this have. And that opens up whole worlds. So it's where my brain goes, my brain will follow. So if I ask what's good about this, my brain will come up with some answers. What else is good? What else? And keep looking for more Nikudas until a person actually can't see the weeds because there's such beautiful flowers that steal my attention.
And with that,
So
we
why-
conclude this week's session.
Yes.
So
Thank you all for joining.
Sorry? Yeah. The name John.
one second.
Okay.
So why don't we accept? I'm still stuck